Hey,
Hello.
can you hear me there, Mickie?
Hi. I
Hey,
can hear you.
thank
Hi.
you for
Thanks.
making the time. Thank you for having the belt behind you. I think we
There.
know you mean business there.
I didn't may not be the best because I'm in my room right now here in Texas. But look, let me just wiggle this table closer. But I did prop up the belt here on this lovely mod couch that is
Yeah.
in yes.
So getting the housekeeping out of the way, that belt is there because of Hard to Kill 2022. Big match. Can you tell me a little more about that?
Well, it is the rematch of myself now in different, we are wearing much different shoes with myself as the champion 4 times.
Mhm.
Um, and Deanna as the challenger, but a very, very different Deanna from the last time we've seen her. So, uh, I'm really excited about it. Obviously, there's no love lost between Deanna and I. Um, she's done a lot of terrible things. She had done a lot of terrible things and said a lot of pretty terrible things leading up to when I beat her for the championship. So I'm sure, what I found is like, and I was saying this earlier, is like, I think, for so long, Deanna was the champion for so long that it
Mhm.
was almost a part of her identity. And so now without the championship, she's like, she does not know what to do. She's like lost, and it's almost like trying to find her identity again, which
Yeah.
is weird because you see her now and she's stripped down and she's in jeans and a t-shirt. She doesn't have, the whole garb on, the Pope hat and all the
Oh,
things. The Pope hat. That Pope hat was ridiculous. I mean, I know I've worn some ridiculous hats before, but that was like next level. I
well,
was impressed with the amount of ridiculousness.
you don't have a lot of fashion faux pas in your history, I will say. So,
Uh, Probably, I think it depends on who you ask, you know. Um, for some people hated the bell bottoms. I loved the bell bottoms. I thought
bell bottoms are back. My wife was telling me that a day or two ago. The kids like the bell bottoms, so
they
you were
are,
ahead of the
and now
curve.
I'm always ahead of the curve. Always ahead of the curve. Here I never let them go, and here now they're coming back.
Well, that belt, most people who would have that belt, that would be all that's going on in their life. In your case, the music career continues to grow. We got the new single Grown Ass Woman earlier this year. We got the album Strangers and Angels last year. So it seems like you're able to pursue music as much as you want nowadays, do live gigs when you want to, COVID aside. So that must be a breath of fresh air to be a champion in one job, a growing star in the other end, and you're creatively fulfilled in more than one way.
Yeah, it's thank you. I feel like musically, I've been able to do that wherever I've gone because obviously it's a massive outlet for me. It allows me to it's therapy of sorts in the sense that I love my music. I hope people love my music too because I really do write my music from my heart. Um, and that's really what it's all about is like if it resonates with somebody, right? But um, I think that the Impact, when I first went to Impact, they
Mm-hmm.
were the first to really like as far as being able to sing my own entrance song and writing
Mm-hmm.
hardcore country and like what a perfect song for that character when I was able to kind of almost reestablish myself in this whole new kind of place that's really for me it's closer to who I am than the psycho chick next door that's skipping down to the ringside with
Sure.
lollipops and ponytails. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm a little bit of that too. I'm a little crazy too, but
But
but no, it's really cool. And I've been working on my music. Strangers and Angels, actually, we released that digitally right around the holidays because it was no longer on the platforms. And it was the 10-year anniversary. That was the first album I ever released. And I started recording that when I was still in WWE back in, what is it, 2000. I think started working on that one in the studio in 2009 or so.
mhm.
Um, maybe 2008, 2009. And So it's my music, and I just feel like I've evolved as an artist as well, because obviously the more you study it, the more you do it,
Yeah.
hopefully the better you get, especially, songwriting is probably my favorite thing. I love performing, but actually like sitting down and writing the songs is like probably one of my favorite things to do. And I've been, as we all have been, stuck at home during COVID for most of us.
Yeah.
I have done a whole lot of writing and self-reflection and um, conversations with myself. Some people call that insanity. I don't know. But yeah, it's so I have a new, like, we were just having a conversation about what's the next single gonna be and when we want to release the full record of all these awesome originals that I've written throughout this whole kind of crazy pandemic. And so I'm excited.
You are so good at what you do. You just answered a few of the things that I was going to ask. So I want to take that in a slightly different direction, in that you start off with the hardcore country, in that it's what I call pop country. We have seen some R&B kind of stuff happen as well, and collaborations with outside artists. But every big country artist I've ever interviewed, I basically have been able to scratch at the surface and realize that they're big 80s metal people, that they stole all the Def Leppard and Van Halen and Kiss tricks and then put a little country, and that's what it is. Hardcore country to me sounded, the chorus at least, totally like it could have been a leftover Def Leppard song. And I mean that in a good way. Were Van Halen, Def Leppard, etc. part of your influences growing up?
Not. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love a bit of Van Halen and even Def Leppard. I've definitely covered them during concerts and stuff. However, I feel like I love rock. I love music. That's kind of like, let me just clarify this. I love music. I love good music. I love good artists. I mean, my mom, I grew up on anything from Hank Williams and Willie from my stepdad to Motown and R&B and Percy Sledge on my real dad, because he was more into that, to Madonna and Prince on my mom's side and all the things. And, so I grew up with a very eclectic, group of music. And then plus when I was doing my horses and we would compete all the time, there was a lot of classical music being played. Like we had to do a lot of, I played the violin for all through high school. So a lot of classical music as well. So I think that when I think about and that's kind of why I chose the country music genre, is because one, it's what I probably listen to when I'm just listening, when I'm just like sitting back and listening to the lyrics and to the message and to that. It's what I really like listen to and I kind of gravitate the most. But I found that's how I was writing. I was writing more in that vein. And country has changed, because if you look at it, like the rock music that we hear now is not the same type of rock music that I remember being rock music. Like some of it is even just like, I don't know. But also country music has evolved, and it's really hard to define, okay, what is country music? Because like you said, there's pop country, there's old school country, there's outlaw country, there's rock country. And if I was to define like what vein I sit in the most, it would be more of like a Southern rock, like a Fleetwood Mac, like I love Stevie Nicks so much. And then but that, or but then with a little country edge, obviously. And I have done poppier songs and Catcher, like I was able to do the duet with the Yin Yang Twins for Left, Right, Left, which was super fun. But I've also, with Grown Ass Woman, the girls and I, we probably ended up writing that song in like 45 minutes. And it was, it's just crazy. And so it's just all about, to me, it's the song that speaks to you. And if the song is good, and then everything else is gravy. Yeah.
So to recap what we've talked about, multi-time world champion in this company and elsewhere, the musical career is growing. You've been in a high profile way now more of your life than not. That's a scary way to look at years and numbers per se. But is there anything you haven't accomplished yet that you're still hoping to in wrestling or elsewhere?
Well, I think secretly we all want to go down as the greatest of all time. I think everybody secretly, whether they want to admit it or not, wants to be the GOAT. And I know that's a tall order, but we all kind of hope to at least be in the, top five.
I'm going to break professional ground and say you are. So yes, you got that.
Thank you. At least in the top five. At least in the top five.
Yeah, top five.
Thank you.
Sure.
I think that I haven't sold a #1 record yet, so obviously there's that. There's a lot, but I think for me, everything is kind of, and I say this, and I know it's sappy to say, but when I became a mom, like everything shifted. And Donovan's 7 now, and he's, it was one thing when he was an infant and he was but now that he's coming into his own and with his own personality and defining like his interests and likes and things that whatever is like, I just really hope that he's proud of me. And like when he's older and he can, understand all of this, because he didn't understand it then. He barely understands it now. To him, it's like, oh, mommy goes on TV and she falls down a lot, right? That's literally,
and daddy also.
And daddy too. And he's not even a huge wrestling fan in that sense. Like he loves being in the ring, physically in the ring and running around and trying to do stuff or playing. But to watch it on television is probably like me watching baseball for him, and it's just ironic because I'm like, and I think it's because he's grown, he's literally been around it since he was like an infant. And so I just hope when he does understand it, he thinks that his mom is cool and she does some pretty cool things, because I don't know, I just want to make him proud, and I want to, just be the best mom that I can be, and hopefully be a good example of a strong woman for him. And, I don't know. I just want to be awesome in his eyes, at least.
I just want to be awesome. Song title right there. And the last thing I want to know, my wife and I are spending 3 weeks in Las Vegas between December and January. Impact does a lot of time around Sam's Town. Do you have a restaurant recommendation for a place that we will enjoy?
You have to go to Nobu. Nobu's so fantastic. Oh my God, there's so many places. There was a place that I just went to. I think it was in the Wynn Resort with a friend of mine. Was it called the Pacifico?
Sounds familiar. I know the Wynn. Yes, there's the Wynn and Encore.
Yeah, they're together, the villas and the thing. Yeah, and I think the place was called Pacifico. Inside that hotel, it was fantastic. And there was this lady, they had a band, but like like a real like jazzy kind of swanky band. And then the girls were all dressed like in these feathers, and they were like kind of like the 20s flappers kind of vibe. And they were all dancing, like cigars, cigarettes, that kind of genre.
Roaring 20s. Yes.
Yes, the roaring 20s. There, Great Gatsby, very Gatsby, if you will.
I'm from Long Island. If I didn't call out a Gatsby thing, I think they'd take away my Long Island card. So
they would. You would have to turn it in for sure. That's so funny. Yeah, those are two. But honestly, I haven't been to Vegas in a while, aside from just for TVs. But when we're there for TVs, and pay-per-view. So I don't get to venture very far very often. So I'm excited for you.
Well, thank you very much, and looking forward to seeing you perform live in this New York area, whether it's in the ring, on the stage, whatever it is. Just keep up the greatness there, Mickie.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm excited too. I can't wait. We want to come to New York. I miss New York.
Gotta happen soon.
Yes.
Exactly. Have a great rest of the day. Take care.
You too. Thank you.
You're on brand here, wearing the lights out shirt. You got Extreme Fighting 7 coming up. How long was Extreme 7 confirmed for? Did you know months and months and months ago that it was a series?
No, actually, about 3 weeks ago, we locked everything down for Lights Out Extreme Fight. We had some injuries, and the fight business. It's like a week of or 2 weeks of. You just hope that everybody come in healthy, but sometimes those things are unfortunate. So you drop some fights and you can't find another one, so you drop that fight completely, and it's just a lot of moving parts. And that's the side of the fight business that I'm getting used to. In the NFL, we didn't have that. Like,
Right.
if you're injured, like you go and warm up, and if you feel 50%, you're playing. So it's but in this business, they only have fights every few months or so, and so they have to be 100% prepared to go in to do so.
When you're preparing that fight card, do you also come up with alternates as part of it, or is that just a worry about later scenario?
Well, with the main event and co-main event, you definitely want to have people that's ready in place, right? Because those are your big draws. Those are the people that that's going to seal the show for the night. But you always have people that's waiting for opportunities. You have people that's training year round to get an opportunity. So you find out 3 weeks, 4 weeks before the fight, sometimes 2 weeks, which guys are ready. We know what the coach is and the managers or who's ready to go.
Right. I'm curious if the people that are the alternates from the main events know that they're alternates, or if that's a secret for later.
No, they know they're alternates. It's like, hey, maybe they've been wanting that fight the whole time, right? And they just didn't get the opportunity. Because that's one thing about lights out extreme fighting, right? There's a ton of fighters out here that we're trying to give exposure to, give a platform to. Mm-hmm. Especially to former athletes. I've been really big over these last 2 years and getting former athletes, guys that go playing a couple years in NFL or NBA or NHL, rugby, that didn't have opportunity to prolong their career. And we would like to give them a shot to come over here and kind of transition into lights out extreme fighting.
Is the long-term goal for Lights Out to not only be like a full-time, all-encompassing thing for you, but to be a weekly fight card?
Yeah, if we can have, weekly or bi-weekly, that ultimately is what I would love to do. Right now, we're like once a month or every 4 to 5 weeks, which is fine because it gives guys prepare, gives us prepare as we're growing. And since the partnership with Fubo Sports things have been growing really fast because of the viewership. We're top 3 or 4 most programmed watch ever for Fubo Sports. And we're slowly integrating, now they have the in-fight predictions, the gaming that's going to be, involved in the fights. It's a lot of integration with technology that Fubo has kind of brought to the platform that we're now implementing into Lights Out Extreme Fighting. So
you've got some star athletes from other sports. You've got the media broadcasting deal in place. You have the regular series going. It seems like there's nothing in place that would. I should rephrase it. It seems like there's nothing to keep this from being a real deal MMA company. And I say that because other companies have started and they did 3 or 4 cards and then they went away. In your case, it seems like the team is there, the vision is there, and this could be for years or decades to come.
And that's the goal, right? We obviously understand that you got UFC, Bellator, you got leagues out there. And every fight, it seems like we have 1 or 2 of our guys, if not more, go to either one of the leagues. And that's just the situation it is right now. I'm a big fan of UFC even before I got into this business, and Bellator as well. Know Scott Coker very well over Bellator, and Dana, obviously, know him as well. And so with us, we're just looking to come at this thing a little bit different, right? We're not trying to compete necessarily because there's a void for us to for one, give fighters an opportunity, right? Fighters, former athletes, give guys these platforms to come in, because truth of the matter is, I don't care how many fights any other league has, there are always fighters that needs an opportunity. Because these guys, they want to fight 3, 4, 5 times a year, and they just can't. There's no room for them. So they can always come to Lights Out Extreme Fight. But the second part of it is that because of the integration and the different platforms that we have going with Fubo, coming from the NFL, I always understood and knew that the NFL, as big as it is, because they just made the fans feel close to the players and the teams. With fantasy football, being able to do stuff, in game and things like that. That's my background. That's what I know best. And so being able to, get to that point where the fans at home are feeling like they're actually somehow in the fight, that is pretty cool for us.
Well, a big difference between you and your football past, and this is a compliment towards you, there's not going to be a gotcha thing at the end of the sentence or question, is when you're in the NFL, you're either in the NFL or you're not. They weren't exactly working with the AAFL or the XFL per se, or overseas leagues or the CFL. It's you're in our league or you're dead to us. But
Right.
it sounds like you're open to working with other company, that people don't necessarily have to be exclusive to your company. And that reminds me in a good way of, because I know you're a wrestling fan, with how AEW's pretty much worked with every other wrestling company under the sun over the last year. And some of the MMA companies are also game to working with other people.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, it's very hard to start off and fight in the UFC, right? It's tremendously hard to do that. And I would advise, because of the talent and some of the stuff that they got, that you go and you have fights with us. My hope is to be able to transition as many former athletes and guys that are, looking to prolong their career in something else. Because even myself, I played 8 years in the NFL, and that's it's a long career, but also a short career. I was 28 when I retired, 28 going on 29, right? And so, guys, you come over to MMA and have you another 6 or 7 years in this game, and have a transitional period. Because I tell anybody, especially former athletes, that first year or two when you're done is extremely hard. Trying to cope with not having that regimen, not being in the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
Those things are tough. And guys, physically, they're ready to go. Think of your SEC linebacker that didn't get a shot in the NFL, only played 1 or 2 years and was out. I actually have a show coming about that I wrote it, just got done with the pilot, about former athletes transitioning into lights out extreme fighting.
Wow. Okay. Well, that was actually where my next question or topic was going. You're not one of those people who just has one project and sits on it and that's all they do. The Lights Out trademark is merchandise. It was your podcast. It is this MMA company. You just mentioned a TV pilot, a TV project in the works in general. What else are you plugging, or what else should we be plugging besides Extreme Fighting 7?
I don't even know if we have anything else to plug, man. That's why I'm sitting in the car doing this now. It's I pulled up at the gym because I got to go right back to TV to promoting and get the opportunity to talk to people like you and what you guys do. Because truthfully, there's no way for us to get out there without these type of things, right? I can use social media and stuff like that, but having publications and media who respect it to show us some love is how we grow and get the opportunity out there. A lot of people read you guys, and look at what you guys doing. And so that's how we continue to grow. And also too, it's football season, right? So I'm, every day I'm doing media on football, and of course I can talk football 24 hours a day, but I always get a chance to throw some lights out extreme fighting love up there, because there are a ton of people that want to transition into the sport. They just don't know how to.
Right. And you are the second NFL star that I've spoken to today who found success outside of the NFL. The first one was Moose, the current Impact Wrestling World Champion. So it's really great to see how many people are able to have a 6 to 10 year career in the NFL and then go, I'm going to do other stuff and kill it there. So my last question to you is, besides this card that's coming up on December 10th, 2 days from now, what's one thing that we should be watching on television? Do you have a recommendation to pass along for a new show?
Yeah, we have, for one, we're obviously going to be on Twitch as well, right? We're giving away $1,000 cash prizes for people who predict the fights, anybody will tune in to us. And also too, we're planning a big show coming up here probably in the next month or so in Vegas. And so, for us, that's big because obviously Vegas is a hot market, and we just want to go up there a couple times a year and give some of those local guys a chance to go out and compete.
I'm going to be in Vegas for 3 weeks over late December, early January. So I'm going to reach out to your team to find out when that Vegas show might be.
Absolutely. Make sure you come and we'll set you up, and it's going to be a great show, man. That one's going to be big.
Awesome, Shawne. Well, thank you for your time as always, and just keep up the greatness. Looking forward to this series of fights on the 10th.
Thank you. And Fubo Sports this Friday live. I think you guys, we come on at 6 p.m. Pacific. So if you guys check that out.
Awesome. Have a great rest of the day there.
You too. Thank you.
PALTROCAST.
Lauren, Isabelle, thank you both for doing this. Great new movie. Now, throwing it to Lauren first. When did you know that Isabelle was the one for the role?
We scrambled because we actually had someone else attached and we lost them last minute, and it became this fortuitous situation actually. And she came in as an audition, and I when it came to casting, I was really thinking about this advice I heard from David Fincher at a screening, where he says when he casts a role, he likes to look at who is the actor as the person, because at the end of a 12-hour day, Ben Affleck is not Batman anymore. He's just Ben Affleck. He's fucking tired. So I really took that to heart, because this is my first film, my first time really going through the casting process. And when it came to the audition, Isabelle was out of everyone. I mean, first of all, auditions, her scene, what she did was brilliant. But on top of that, she was very try hard and overeager, and like sent 2 scenes. Everyone else had the 1 scene. She did an extra one for me. Then she wrote me a whole letter, and there's little photos in it and everything. She wrote this very overeager letter, but like, how she ran to this relay run to Las Vegas, and she had all these injuries and she ran through them, the psychotic stuff. And there's just obvious like energy bubbling into it. And then meeting her in real life too, had this notebook, had all these binders and these little tabs and sticky notes, and everything. And there was just this level of sort of, Isabelle is she's known for kind of orphan and playing a psycho, but she's not. She's very bubbly and very full of life and energetic. But she's got this kind of neurotic drive to her, this ambitious, this grit that I could just sense. And to me, that is like Alex Dahl. That is the character she's playing. And so I could see it in her audition tapes in every single detail. And I knew this was the person, like this is Alex Dahl, albeit, not so psychotic, so she's perfect.
Isabelle, those are very kind words that speak to your work ethic towards the craft. How much research was needed in terms of rowing? Because we do actually see you performing the technique, to use the term, learning not to do bro row. We see that early into the film.
I didn't know anything really about rowing. I mean, I'd used like an erg machine at a gym. But Lauren, I think the first time I actually rowed was Lauren gave me her erg that she had in her garage to take home to my apartment to use to train before the movie started. And she like rolled it out of her garage onto like the front of her yard, like in the sidewalk, in Glendale, right? And Plus Belize, Glendale area, and sat me on the rower and basically was telling me how I was doing everything wrong. And I remember it like kind of made me annoyed, because I was like, oh dang, I was like, I have a lot that I have to do and learn. And from that moment on, Lauren had put me in rowing, like with a coach, rowing every single morning in the marina. And I remember I felt like I was doing so good and making huge strides. And like a week in, Lauren was like calling the coach and being like, she's not even making connections. She's not even doing it properly. And so it really was a process for me. I would say that the research wasn't something I had to seek out. Luckily for me, Lauren had made it very clear once she cast me that there was no stunt double. There was nobody that was going to be in that boat for me, that I was going to have to row every part of the movie, which I did. And so she really gave me all the tools, I feel like, that I needed in order to get to where I needed to be to play Alex.